Welcome back to the Healthy Business Podcast. I'm Ty King from American Business Engine. With me, as always,
Jessica Tolliver with Cam Collaborative.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good?
Good.
Good. You were, how'd you put it this morning? Physically able to
Function like a normal human?
function like a normal human,
Yeah.
yes. And then, what's the other part?
Mentally able to make decisions that are, I don't know, appropriate for public use.
Yeah, human interaction, that type of thing. Yeah. So, like, when you put it that way, everybody's doing pretty okay, I guess. Well, not everybody.
Not everybody,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it puts it in perspective because, everyone's like, hey, how you doing? And they don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask a very specific question like that, it makes them think, number one.
Right.
Makes them remember the interaction, number two.
Yeah.
And it also gives you a more honest response because they feel like you asked an honest question.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Very cool. So I got a few things to talk about today. We'll just go around the world.
Let's go around the
Around
world.
the world and talk about a few things.
I don't like to actually physically travel, so this is going to be great for me.
Yeah, you do too. You like going on vacation.
To my house.
To your house. You
To
have
my backyard.
several houses around the world, though, so you...
You must have a real high opinion of
Oh,
me.
yeah. Once you told me you had a house in Vegas? Yeah.
Oh, no, my aunt has a house in Vegas.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was your house.
No, I'm...
Extra houses just spread out across the country so you
No,
can just say,
Lego
I'm just going
houses.
home. I'm just going home.
No, just...
Montana or wherever. Yeah. Time.
Everywhere I plant my feet, I call home.
There you go.
There you go.
So, you remember when we talked about this event that was supposed to happen for Little Rock?
Yes.
Right. So, two things.
Mm-hmm.
Long live LITfest, but LITfest is dead.
Wasn't it, like, eminently, though? It was supposed to happen, like, soonish?
It was, last weekend.
Oh, okay.
It was supposed to happen. Yeah.
And it just...
Ooh, you must have, you're out of the loop because
I am out of the
you
loop.
don't go on the socials and do all the things.
not.
I've seen Buddy Bones on there, but I haven't seen you very much.
Buddy's been getting around. He's got some interesting things to tell.
That's right. He's got some friends on the outside of your house, apparently, too.
He does.
Yes. So, man, this has been a complete wreck of a festival. And, like, we were talking about it earlier in the week. So it was like,
it's going to be a complete wreck of a festival.
Well, yeah, like it's being rushed and like it hasn't been promoted correctly. And then it hasn't, the website and all that stuff, the words were misspelled. Volunteer was misspelled. The N in volunteer. It just said volunteers needed. Volunteers. And so, and I signed up. So, so I was on the news twice last week. Let's just start there.
Oh, okay.
Yes. THV interviewed me.
For good reasons?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Like, not America's Most Wanted or...
No. Good
5.
things this time. Yeah. You've always got to counteract those by getting in the good stories.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
That way everybody forgets the other stuff. But no, THV contacted me first and wanted to interview me over LITfest, and then KARK interviewed me and did the same, and so it was pretty crazy. Basically wanted to talk to me as a vendor, you know what I mean, for the whole thing. And so we signed up to be vendors, or like it's not even a sign up. On the website it was, you get on there and you put your email address in there just like you would sign up for like a newsletter. And it said if you were interested in being a vendor or a sponsor, put your email address here. And that was back in maybe May or June. Yeah. So months later, the week before the event is supposed to happen, they contacted me. I was like, hey, I hear you're still are you still interested in being a vendor? We're trying to get our vendors together. And it's like, dude, it's a week before this huge festival that's supposed to be celebrating the culture and arts and tech and all this stuff all across the city, from Robinson Theater to the Riverfest Amphitheater and all that stuff. All across the whole downtown area was supposed to be covered, right? And so, and I kept asking people. I was like, when I was going to networking events, and I'd be like, hey, are you guys going to LITfest, just to test it out to see if they're like, what's that? And like, they most of them lived in Little Rock and had no idea what this thing was.
Right.
And I was like, well, I guess, Friday morning, Little Rock's going to wake up and be like, what the hell is that noise outside my window? And like, just look out and like, there's just like a festival going on. And it's like, where did this come from? So as it turns out, so they contacted me to be a vendor, and I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And they were like, okay, well, we'll go ahead and pay your vendor fees, and we'll have the information for you, where you'll be stationed, where your tent's going to be, and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, great. We'll just go ahead and take care of it. And so they sent me a link, and it wasn't an invoice to pay. It was an Eventbrite link, which is kind of a weird way for your vendors to pay for your event.
Right. It's like a ticket link, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. So those are usually made for tickets rather than, you can use a basic free invoicing system to be able to do that. I don't know.
You
The
can
whole
Excel
thing.
spreadsheet and still be more of an invoice.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was very, 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 very strange.
Mm-hmm.
But the price to be a vendor was only $100.
Okay.
So that's really cheap.
Yeah.
For a festival, especially what the Spies it was supposed to be.
Right. But it's a new one. I can see them going low because they want to get a bunch of vendors. Yeah.
First year, inaugural. But so it turns out that the mayor's office in the city had hired this company they have a local office, but they are not registered in Arkansas. They are registered in like Cleveland, Ohio, or something like that.
Okay.
Called Think Rubik's, and like a story came out over the news over the weekend, where it came out that they had been hired. They were paid $42,000 to promote this event, and then they were supposed to handle all the onboarding of sponsors and vendors and all that stuff, and the promotion of the website and all everything, getting the city prepared and bringing in all the people and getting the entertainment acts booked and all that. And like the subline of this whole event is "Return to the Rock." So I don't know who's made an exodus from the Rock, but I mean, like whoever these people are, they're trying to get back. That's not who they were paying to come perform.
Right. Okay.
So it turns out that they had tried to book this headline. The headliner was going to be Ashanti. I don't know if you remember Ashanti. If you think back 21 years ago to about the year 2001.
Yes. Then I thought you were talking about someone current. No, but
no.
Okay.
Yeah, her.
Okay.
And they promised to pay her $32,000 to. Yeah. That face is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
We got all this local talent, and okay.
Yeah, and we're gonna pay $32,000 for a wash up from the early 2000s.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds
so
legit. Keep
exactly,
going. This is
right.
Let's continue like this is going well.
Yeah. This isn't even like that return. The tour that went on, like I Love the '90s, where they had like New Kids on the Block and all the people performing together. No, this is just Ashanti, who had one minor hit. You know what I mean? And so it came out that they were supposed to be paying the musical acts that they booked with the money that was coming from the sponsors and the vendors.
Right.
Okay. And renting the spaces and all that stuff. And so all this money was supposed to be used for that. But most of it goes back to the city itself.
Right.
So that the city can use it to do whatever the city does with money. All of the story there.
Make Little Rock better.
Sure.
Bring people back to the Rock.
Yeah. Return to the Rock. So it turns out that this company, Think Rubik's, they brought in their own nonprofit arm.
Okay.
That wasn't mentioned before to process all the payments.
Seems a little shady.
And then take an extra 10% off the top of every sale that's made.
Okay.
The rest of the 90%, nobody knows where it went.
Okay.
Okay. And it's all tax deductible.
Okay.
So it's insanity. And when the news, it came out in a story over the news over the weekend after I had already signed up to be a vendor, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be bad. And they tried to get, Think Rubik's to have a comment, and everything that they were saying was like, oh, this is just highlighting the problem that people have of hiring minority businesses to do things,
right.
Because they're very minority driven. I guess sort of, I don't know what to call it. They're a marketing company, but they're a marketing company that specifically aims in helping other companies get more diversity in their business.
Okay.
Okay. So they were saying, well, this is a racial issue that you guys have a problem with us.
Okay.
Yeah. And
this is awesome.
Yeah, I know. Now
this is a made-for-TV movie.
I know. Yes. I don't know if you ever heard of like Fire Festival, the big festival that was supposed to be put on, and then like Ja Rule and a whole bunch of people were supposed, and this is it. This is it for Little Rock.
Version,
yeah, this is our Fire Fest, and it's even called LITfest, which is like the little fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very on brand. I can't wait for the documentary to come out on Netflix. But no.
I bet you our podcast will be featured since you have such a detailed explanation.
Oh my gosh,
anyway,
that would be so fun.
We'll get some traction.
Yes, that'd be great. Head of the curve. So anyway, so we went through the weekend, and then we got to Monday, and then so the person that contacted me actually owns a small clothing store here in Little Rock.
Okay.
Not even connected to Think Rubik's, the city, anything. No connection whatsoever. They were not hired to do the promotion. They were just asked by that company to get all the vendors together. Like, they got paid $42,000. They couldn't even be bothered to be the ones to go ahead and reach out to vendors and sponsors to gather those up.
Right.
Yeah. So, it's
Well, they got paid $42,000. Plus, where did all the money go that went to Eventbrite?
Oh, right, exactly. So where did all that money go? That's the question. So, anyways, on Monday, I called the guy back and was like, "Hey, I saw what happened on the news, and I'm just wondering, like, hey, man, do you have any more information for me, at least?" I had already put a statement out on Facebook and LinkedIn and everything, and saying, "Hey, as American Business Engine, we had no idea that any of this stuff was going on behind the scenes, and we signed up as a vendor, and we are just as blindsided as everybody else."
Right.
And so I was like, we're going to continue to be there and set up our table and do our thing, as long as it doesn't turn out to be something worse, you know? And so I called him, and I was like, are we going to have a table? Where are we going to be stationed? And then he went back and forth. First, it was we were going to be inside of the Mosaic Templars Cultural Center for a STEM section that was going to be there. And I was like, okay, we'll just do a continuous live podcast, you know, set up the green screen and all that stuff. And that'll be, you know, sort of techie that we could do, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so it was a good idea. And then they called me back and was like, oh, actually, you guys are going to be in this parking lot across from the place called The Hall. And it's just a big empty parking lot. So we wouldn't have access to electricity, Wi-Fi, anything.
Sure.
It's just a big open space out in the sun.
Yep. Yep. Sounds perfect.
And he was like, for your spot, reference the map. And the map was just...
Go to Google.
Yeah. It was literally a Google map that they had screenshotted and then circled with a big red line around the entire parking lot. And I'm like, what?
Okay.
So either I get the whole parking lot or I got a spot in there somewhere and they don't know and I don't know. So like it was a complete travesty. And I was like, oh, man, this thing's getting slapped together at the last minute, isn't it? And he was like, oh, I wouldn't say that. You know, we're just putting a lot of work into it. And I was like, oh, he's doing a lot of damage control for something he has no idea what he's getting into. And so then that night, more news broke of, like, what was happening to the money, the nonprofit, and all that. So I emailed it the next day and was like, hey, I really need to know if we're going to have electricity or not. And like, is this even happening still? Because I saw everything that happened. And then that night, Think Rubik's got fired from the job. You know, Frank, whatever his name is.
Scott.
Yes, I had lots of Franks in my names. That wasn't it. Yeah. So he came out and, you know, was public about, hey, we fired Think Rubik's from promoting our events. But LITfest is still happening.
Okay.
Okay. And then I was like, all right, still happening. So that morning, on like Tuesday, THV reached out to me and was like, hey, I saw your statement out there and I know everything's going on with LITfest. Would you like to give a statement? And I was like, hey, this is free publicity. Great. Let's do that.
Right.
Yeah. And then KARK was messaging me while I was doing the interview with THV. And I was like, okay, let's stagger these so I get both of them in.
Right.
Yeah, so I did that. And they both did a really great job. The one on, by the time the first story aired, the mayor had already come out and said that he canceled LITfest. It's like within 24 hours, he had canceled LITfest. He said it was because of divisive politics. That was the word he used. Divisive politics of City Hall, and that's why everything happened the way it did, and that's why he had to cancel LITfest and not pay Ashanti her $32,000 to come perform.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then they ran the story. THV was pretty straightforward. It was just, hey, this is, you know, Ty King. He was a vendor, and this is what his experience has been. And I just basically told them everything I just told you. And then KRK, they sort of spliced my interview with them in there, here and out. But they also went to the Think Rubik's office and like tried to ask, you know, questions, and like the cameraman is like chasing down the the anchor guy who was chasing down the guy that works there, because he was like, did you guys know that but what was happening with the money? And he was like and like the guy's just like walking down the hall really fast and like he's still trying to ask questions. Sir, can you ask me? Like he's just chasing him down the hall. So eventually it has the end. It's like they had no public answer whatsoever.
Oh, interesting.
Oh man, it was crazy. Yeah.
So when I hear LITfest, I think literary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you had asked me about
Oh, there
LITfest,
is an actual LITfest, which is a literary festival that is huge that happens in New York every year.
So, did anyone bother to Google the name? Like, hey, look.
Do I think so? No, absolutely not.
So next.
I think it was an ill attempt to try to connect with the youth because they say lit.
That's wrong.
And then it also is like lit or rock.
And when you say, bring people back to the rock or get back to the rock,
Yeah, return to the rock. That was their subline.
I think Alcatraz.
Damn. All right. Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's because I'm old, but the rock. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
No.
Alcatraz.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We are not the rock. We may call ourselves the rock, but that's just a misguided thing to call us because there's North Little Rock, South Little Rock. We need to be like, I mean, the Little Rock, or there's a lot of things we can go with, but the rock it's already been taken by a prison.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're absolutely right.
So let's read books in prison.
Yeah.
Is what I hear.
Books in prison. We're going to have a festival. It's a book fair. Love it. Crazy. Yeah, so that
So
was
how
the
fun
whole,
is that?
That was the whole fun experience I went through.
Nice.
And then they were like canceled, and also your Eventbrite, ticket that you bought apparently is going to be refunded and by the 18th or so. So
Well, hopefully.
we'll see if it does,
Yeah.
Because
Watch this
I don't know
all
where
go
that money
back,
went, and
right?
if there's no money there, then they can't refund you.
Well, usually Eventbrite doesn't pay out until certain times, which is not usually immediately. It's either after the event or different times like that. So it's possible Eventbrite still had the money, and then when the event was canceled, they could still refund you.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because you can have it where it pays you out either daily, weekly, or monthly, and all that stuff. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So maybe it's in our account. I don't know. That was our festival experience.
That being said, I think you got $100 worth of publicity out of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then people started reaching out afterwards, and they were like, "Hey, I saw what you were on this one." I wanted to talk about it, and I was like, "Okay, that's cool." It's sad because this could have been a really great thing that was about culture and arts and tech in Little Rock. Something, 3 things that often get very overlooked in Arkansas. And so this was an opportunity to make a sort of a stage and be like, hey, other states, look, this is what we're doing. This is what we do here. We're actually of value. Yeah, we wear shoes. And it's, it just turned into another
Dumpster fire, it sounds like.
Yeah. It's a dumpster fire. And it's it sort of reaffirms, what everybody else thinks about us.
Right, it does actually.
And this is done by a company that's not even registered in Arkansas. They're in Cleveland, Ohio, or whatever.
I guess because they maybe had that office in Arkansas, that's the reason that the government went with them. But again, there's a lot of good companies that specialize in event planning that would have loved to have that.
Yeah, local companies.
And local artists.
I'm seriously biased. We would have, after the podcast convention and everything, and then you give us something like this, it would have been awesome. But this is a company that the one that they hired was one that is I don't know why, but for some reason they're highly esteemed. They were. Now their reputation is just
were they highly esteemed, or did their Google presence say they were highly esteemed?
No, they really were, because they were integrating I can't remember the main guy that they use, but Tristan something, I can't remember his last name. They have him speak at almost any leadership conference that you can find. So the New Leaders Council, when they met for their annual thing, he was there giving a speech. And then they hosted a lot of the lunch and learn type of things at the tech park.
Right.
The last one I went to was supposed to be diversity in business, and then it turned into just a big long talk about the agricultural industry in Arkansas. And it's anyway. That went south too, but
This should have been your first clue. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, I know. And so but they were like, "This is the company." I don't know if it was because they were out of, you're out of state, and so now.
Well, truth be told, there's a lot of decisions that have come out of that administration that have been questionable. So we're just gonna let that ride for a little bit.
You can listen to other podcasts for those. There are plenty of local ones, like Jamie Taylor. She's got her own Block Talk podcast, and so I was talking to her about it, and she interviewed all 3 the candidates for the mayoral race and stuff, and it's interesting. Man, I hate politics because there's never a clear good choice.
Yeah, it has absolutely become the lesser of the evils. You can't find, no one's getting behind going, this is my guy. Sometimes they're just like, this guy doesn't suck as bad as the other guy.
What's going to bite me less?
Right.
What has less teeth?
Because they both have teeth and they're both after you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. So, I don't know. And it's strange. And you usually have like one person that like seems pretty harmless, but they don't stand a chance at all because they're an independent.
All right, yeah. Usually. And there's that.
Yeah.
So you said around the world. So we've...
So anyway, it's been a crazy, media-filled week for us because, or like month, I guess, because of the news stories, LITfest, and all that stuff coming up. And then I've got the shirt on now. The Make 48 competition came to the Innovation Hub.
Yep.
It's a national thing where people have 48 hours to...
Yeah, you were talking about that.
Yeah, figure out a problem, and and then so they have to solve and...
Yeah, I'd asked you last time, I'm like, does it have to be what did I say? Economically feasible? Economically viable?
Yeah. For the projects I saw, I don't think that it was. Like, there were a few that were like, we tried to make it as, affordable as possible to be able to do this, and then... I think they just ran out of ideas. It was like, okay, well, this isn't going to cost very much. But when you're dealing with city dollars, it's different. So, anyways, they're presented with the problem. They have 48 hours to create a prototype, present a plan, and all that stuff. And, man, they made some amazing things. It was incredible. They made dioramas. So, like, the problem this year was that, do you know on the Riverfront Park in North Little Rock, you know where the submarine is and all that stuff? Okay, so there's an area there that is dedicated to the Trail of Tears.
Yes.
And there's only like 3 or 4 signs that are up there. And it just gives you some information about it. So they want a full interactive installment that honors and gives reverence to the Trail of Tears, but it is also a great looking monument.
Right.
Okay, so that's what that was the problem.
Okay.
And so they came up with some really great things, lots of water features and that type of thing. Man, there was a team of kids that were 10 years old, and their STEM teacher brought them. There was like three young kids, and like what they built was amazing. It was incredible. Yeah, they had a full a huge statue. I say statue, a big whatever. I don't even know what to call those things. So
erection, a monument.
Yes, a monument. Thank you. That's probably the word I should use. So it's a large Native American monument, but the eyes would leak tears like streams to come down into like this a stream that's pretty shallow, like 1 or 2 inches deep, and then it goes down into this pool, and it's like a wish. It's pretty cool.
Was it like a splash park type thing, or was it more just a visual?
Yeah. Okay. So nobody made like a park or anything.
Well, you said interactive, so that's why I was thinking.
Well, they wanted when I say interactive, one of them had a turntable it was a big egg, or I say egg shape. That's what it looked like to me. It was an egg. It was supposed to be a teardrop. But you turn it by hand, and it gives you some of the history. Somebody else made touchstones with acrylic panels, and so when you step on the touchstone, the acrylic panel lights up with a projection with somebody in all Native American gear that tells you about the story that they went through for each of the 5 tribes that met up here. And so they were really, 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 really smart, and their dioramas were crazy. Like the kids that made the monument that leaks the tears had done a full body scan of somebody who was dressed in the gear head to toe for about 3 hours, and then once they had that scanned, then they 3D printed it, and then they hollowed it out, and then they ran the hoses and the water pump and all this stuff. Like, it was incredible what they built.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So that was pretty amazing. And so we can't say who the winner was of any of these yet until 2 months later, whenever they're going to have the video done. But anyways, all that was filmed for PBS. So the national PBS, will be on there for that. So
super cool. Well, in 2 months, we'll come back with the winner.
Yeah, for sure. And I came in, the crazy thing is, I came in, I was supposed to be a tool tech, which means I'm helping out with graphic design, with them or their projects. Nobody needed my help. I felt bad going there and being like, oh, you guys are going to need me. And then like, oh, God, you guys are good. All right, never mind. Forget it. You're very imaginative and you know what you're doing. So it was great. I ended up picking up a new client there too. That was pretty
Super cool.
In Kansas City.
Nice.
I was just sitting at the table, and he was like, "Hey man, what are you working on?" And I was like, "Just some stuff." And he was like, "Oh, I'm working on my SEO for my website." And I was like, "Oh yeah?" And I went and talked to him. He was a very a successful chiropractor from Kansas City that has been running his own SEO. Like he taught me a lot of stuff about SEO. But yeah, I picked him up as a client right there. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So there's that. I've got some props here.
Oh, we have props.
We have props.
I saw you walking with a bunch of stuff. So
I went down to the first floor. Yes. And so, like I said, we've just been in the media. Like, we're everywhere. Look at that. And so, of course, Brittany, my business partner, she's got a full page in the AY's Intriguing Women issue.
Very cool.
Very unfortunate cover.
Very unfortunate. That's not the cover I want on my magazine when I'm featured.
Right.
But yeah.
When you got a Sasquatch on the cover of the magazine of your Intriguing Women issue.
Again, people always think things through.
They don't. They don't. And the left hand has to talk to the right hand. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Anyways, and I've already lost my page because I pulled this out. But I'm also in the Inviting Arkansas. Yeah, there I am.
Look at you.
Look at that. Whole group of people for being honored in the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
Hang them.
Yeah, got to do that.
That's so nice.
Yeah. Then we went to another thing at the governor's mansion, and that was the Women of Worth, Wowapalooza, and the same magazine took our photo again, me and Brittany, so we'll be in there again. So
awesome.
Pretty
I gotta figure out how to get involved with these people so I can get.
Just gotta be in the right spot.
I'm not.
I think once
you know where I am, I'm here.
Once you find the place like it's easy to run into them over and over.
They just have then. I have to leave here, and I go from here to the next room, and then on Fridays I come back here.
I'll tell you what was incredible was so whenever I go to like these fancy events or balls or whatever, or galas, whatever you want to call them.
Soirees.
Yeah, soiree. Yeah. We like to spell French in Arkansas. It's crazy. I guess because of French settlers that found Little Rock. I mean, like the original name was Petit Roche, and so that's like Little Rock. Okay. But like when we're at the governor's mansion, I like to talk more to the people that are helping there rather than the people that are dressed up to the nines and then drinking champagne and walking around and stuff. So I don't know. I guess I just relate to them, and like I also was like nobody ever talks to the help or people that are hired to work events. You know what I mean? And they don't expect you to talk to them either. But they're there, and they're like.
They usually have the best information.
And you're not sub people. You know what I mean? Like you're human beings here, just like everybody else. And so I went around and started talking to some of the people, and I think one guy, I asked him about his tattoo because at the end of the event he was loading some stuff up, and I was like, where'd you get that ink? Because I was like, I'm looking for a place to get some of my cover-ups done. And he's like, prison. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And
which prison?
Yeah. He said that most of the people, and I completely forgot about this, but most of the people that work at the governor's mansion are actually in prison currently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No. I mean, I would have thought ex-cons, but interesting.
Yeah. No. So they have a program whenever you go to the state police headquarters, and like you have to be a status 1A, which is like the highest state you can be in prison, which means they trust you, but you're still locked up and you're under their property, But they send you to the state police headquarters, and they send you out to the governor's mansion to work,
Oh,
so
cool.
they'll dress you up in
Human clothes.
free clothes, human clothes, not just a bag. But anyways, I completely forgot about him, and I was like trying to encourage the guy, and I was like, not to be like the you can do it type of guy, and I was like, but look at the success I've done when I came out. I said it's all about mentality, and like try to give him like as much as I could right there in that like 15 seconds. But yeah, so that was really cool. I really enjoyed that.
Super cool.
That was
I did not know
my
that.
favorite part of that night. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's been a media filled month for October, and it's not even done yet.
No.
We're like, what even is today?
Halfway through.
The 14th. We're not even halfway through.
Almost halfway through.
Yeah, we're almost halfway through.
Yeah.
So. So then this week I've been taking a mental health break because I've been into too many different events and like personal stuff that's going on, and so but we've talked about that a lot about taking a break whenever you need to, and I've absolutely been doing it this week. This is my first day back out in publicity. And so we've got like ribbon cuttings and a few things like that. But man, it feels good. I'm like, oh man, I'm so relieved to be back into it. I was glad to take a break, but I'm really glad to be out in person
when
again.
you get overwhelmed, what you want to do is crawl into a hole and just hide.
Yep.
But what you forget is that doesn't make you feel normal.
Mm-mm.
And when you get a little of that behind you and you come back out and you start doing some of the normal things,
Right.
and you start feeling more normal, you realize that this is where you belong all along.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to take that mental health break, absolutely. And I'm glad that you just took a break and then came back and didn't just take a permanent break.
Oh yeah, I
Some
don't think I
people
could do that. Yeah.
No, some people do. Some people just let it go. They're like, okay, I'm done. I have no F's to give.
Yes.
And they'll just write it off. And
Yeah, for sure.
That's really unfortunate because life does go on. Things still happen.
Yeah.
Interesting, exciting things still happen in the world, and you can choose to be a part of it or not. And you're choosing to be a part of it, so that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I find more of a purpose, strangely enough, being an introvert and all that stuff. Like, I find more purpose in going out and interacting with people, meeting people, networking, and doing stuff like this than just sitting at home. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Reading a book. I need that sometimes, but at the same time, like, I feel like, man, I've got superpowers when it comes to this.
No, I absolutely have to have that mental shutdown where I focus in, do some meditation, do something where I'm just not dealing with any other external stimulus, but then I'm right back into it because I love it. But it is exhausting. It's exhausting to have those hats on. It's exhausting to interact with people. And I think the introverts who force themselves out of that make the best conversationalists because they've been spending their entire life watching.
Yeah.
And now they're getting into it, and they have so much to offer.
A lot of observations.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Something else this week that really I don't know, jumped me out of my normal life is that I got into. Somebody took me on a ride in a street racing car.
Cool.
I know that's kind of like just out of there, but that's completely out of my world. I've never been in a street racing car in my life. The outfitted, I'm talking about Fast and Furious style, the hydraulics and all this.
So when I was in California, one of the biggest races they have out there in Long Beach, it's Long Beach something, they actually race the streets.
Yeah.
So I got to actually see that up close and personal, how they put the barriers up on the actual streets of downtown Long Beach and be able to see those cars. So I've experienced them. They're pretty amazing.
It's scary.
Yes.
Being in that car was terrifying, but also releasing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is when I die right now.
Right?
I'm
die happy.
When we turn this curve, yes, this is what I was like. Oh, I hope everything's in place, because it's terrifying. You're so low to the ground, and just go. And they start revving the motor, and you're going, oh man, it's crazy. But it was fun. Like I said, completely just sort of outside of my entire realm. I've never been part of that before, never experienced that before, and so it just felt like I was, experiencing like a movie in real life or something. You know what I mean?
Cool. I'm glad you got to experience that.
Yeah, it was fun. So that's been my wild month so far, and we're only halfway through. Yes.
I love it.
And you've been planning on dressing like a pirate.
I am dressing like a pirate. Yeah. I've been working and planning on dressing like a pirate. So I'm not a very exciting person.
Yeah. So how does it feel I know Buddy Bones is back on. He's back on social, right? He took a break. Now he's back. He's back on.
He's back for October.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've been able to enlist some friends, so he's been traveling without me because
Okay.
I've been busy. But yeah, we got some really cool pictures of Little Rock Police Department coming up because he went and applied down there and went through some training, and he didn't make the squad or the force or whatever they call it. But he attempted.
Okay.
Now last year he tried to get into North Little Rock, and all they liked him. He and Beagle Bones just weren't up to par for the canine unit. So this year he tried Little Rock.
Got you.
Yeah.
Because he seems very limber, right? Like he could get up that wall in no time.
He could, and the buddy system, you could just toss him really easily.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyhow.
It's foldable. You know what I mean?
Well, and then when the piece falls off, you just stick it back.
Yeah.
Little zip tie, duct tape, good to go.
So how's it feel to be like his, PR person? Public relations.
Oh, I keep my head down. It's not me. It's him.
Yeah. So how does a phone identify his fingerprints without any flesh? That's one of the questions I had.
He didn't get fingerprinted.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I didn't think about that. That would have been funny. Maybe next year. Maybe next year I'll take him down to the state police and he'll get fingerprinted.
That would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tries to get into interesting things so that, I don't know, it's fun.
For sure.
But I don't know what's coming up, so you'll just have to tune in to Buddy Bones AR
You don't
on your
know.
socials.
Yes.
Yeah.
Buddy Bones AR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll have him in here soon, but he's busy today, so.
So one last thing I wanted to bring up is that, we talk about like marketing and all that stuff because of course it's my field, and like you studied marketing and you're really good at it, even though you don't make it your full-time job. You like to advise other people whenever it's time to do that.
I got a tip from time to time.
You do. So I was talking to the guy I picked up from Casey, and he was talking about SEO, and I was like, I know like socials are very much rolled into your SEO for your website and all that. And so I started looking at his social media to try to see like what is he doing to keep his SEO up. And like I saw that he hadn't posted on Facebook since June, and I was like, do you post regularly? And he was like, oh yeah, all the time. And I was like, this hadn't been updated since June. He said, what is that, Facebook? He said, man, Facebook's dead. And I was like, okay. Well, I said, that's hilarious because like here in Arkansas, it's like the standard first thing that you do when you open a business is that you open a Facebook page. He said, really? He said, okay, well, you guys are the ones that are keeping it alive.
Right.
Because Facebook is on its last leg out there in the rest of the world,
Yes.
and nobody outside of Arkansas is actually putting a whole lot of energy into Facebook.
No. So I recommend to people use the business suite because it'll centralize a single place to do your postings. It kind of pushes to Facebook, but it also goes to your Instagram and does some things for you. And then you're not putting too much effort into it. But yeah, Arkansas is always been 10 years behind the times.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I don't know, eventually.
Well, Buddy did get a TikTok last year, so.
He got a TikTok last year?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Yeah, that's what he said everybody's using out there is Instagram and TikTok. And I was like, okay, there you go.
And his first was Facebook because everyone was on Facebook. Then he got Instagram. And then he got Twitter, I think.
Yeah.
He got Instagram, and then he got TikTok.
I'm so bad about posting on TikTok, though. We have a channel on TikTok, but I tried it like pretty hardcore. But it takes a lot of energy, and
I don't like video.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just and that's the thing is it's hard to do something I don't interact with.
It's funny because we record on video every week.
But I don't like sound either, and I'm doing a podcast, so I'll listen to sound in my car. So I listen to podcasts in the car and things like that. But when I am looking at my phone is not allowed to make noise.
Yeah.
If you don't have subtitles, I have no idea what's going on. I'm just looking at the video and seeing what you're doing and making up my own stories.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, and so like, I mean, I get out there and do plenty of things, plenty active. I'm always, going from event to event to event. So I know there's stuff I should be filming, but I don't even know what to film.
Well, here's my problem is that I do. Like, I know what the things are. I know where things should go, but I have to decide, am I going to be a social media marketer for my business, or am I going to run my business? Or am I going to do the work to do my business? And so that's where I'm having the biggest problem is I have delegated some of this stuff out to people that, while they're good at what they do, I'm better.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of business that you have to deal with is allowing someone who's not as good as you to do certain parts of your job because you can't do it all.
Right. So, I don't know. We got to find our voice on TikTok. And like Brittany's also dreading it because she hates TikTok. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
So get you a person who likes TikTok and then have them be your TikTok person.
Well, I've got an intern that's coming in November.
There
She's young. And so she'll probably know more about all that stuff.
She can be your, the voice of TikTok.
Definitely help us there. Oh, man. So incredible. So yeah, waiting for you to get a confirmation back on that, but that's exciting too. So that'll give updates on that whenever that happens. But yeah, something we definitely need to look at because I mean, even when you're recording on TikTok, you can use that same media for like, your reels on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff.
Well, and you can record and then also split it up and be like, okay, this is a very TikTok thing, this is a very Instagram thing, this is a very I'm going to save this, make it into an ad on my website thing.
Yeah. So I'm good at taking photos. Making it look interesting. I'm not great at videoing things and making them also seem interesting. Because like the main events at like groundbreakings, it's people sticking a shovel into the dirt and then posing for a camera with a hard hat on. That's the only time they wear a hard hat. But it's like, that's not exciting. Nobody wants to see that, And then the networking events, I mean, there are lots of people that are just they've had a few too drinks and they probably wouldn't appreciate you videoing them and putting them up on.
Yeah, it's difficult to you have to have some frames in mind before you get there and be like, I'm going to film them putting the hat on instead of just taking a picture with the hat. Or I'm going to film the hat being picked up. You know, those types of little things like that are just slightly different will grab attention. And it's not getting a bunch of drunk people in your picture.
Okay.
But you have to have those ideas ahead of time so you can go look for them. Like, I know that I'm going to a ribbon cutting that's going to have a groundbreaking in it. So I know these things are going to happen. So I want to look for the shovel. I want to look for the ribbon. I want to look for the hat. I want to look for these things that are going to be there, and you can try to grab them as inanimate objects being interacted with in a interesting way.
Yeah.
That is going to be different than everybody else who's taking a picture of the guy in the hard hat.
Yes. Okay.
Because if you want that picture, you can go on someone else's social and grab it.
After this, I'm going to a ribbon cutting for, I don't know, I think it's a food truck or something. Okay. I don't know. So what do you recommend there?
So food truck, I would definitely highlight the truck.
Yeah.
So I would do a video of like coming up to the door of the food truck, or coming up to like starting at the ground before the truck, and then what your feet look like as they're walking up towards the window, and then pan up to the menu.
Okay.
Or pan up to the guy and have him hand you something, some type of food that they offer or something of that nature. Or if they'll let you inside, definitely get them dropping something in the fryer, or spreading something on bread, or I don't know, whatever kind of food they have. Creating something and having that be part of it. Because those are those shots that are just going to grab attention, but don't require sound. So if you have sound, great. If you don't have sound, that's fine too. But you can overlay it with music very easily. Of
course.
If there's someone talking, then that's distracting if it's overlaid with music.
Yeah.
So if you have a weird siren in the background, you can still use the video, but be able to put something over top of it and cover it up. So you want those aesthetically visual, appealing things, but you don't want to get the same thing everyone else is. Everyone else is coming back, taking a picture of the ribbon. Everyone's taking a picture of the cutting. If you want to get a picture of the cutting, you zoom in. And you get just that ribbon and scissors as it's going through halfway in the cut. Or, when the guy's holding the scissors, and the first time, those scissors are heavy. Like, if you ever pick them up, you don't expect them.
Right.
So be prepared. When the North Little Rock Chamber or whoever's going to hand the guy the scissors, be ready for that picture. Be ready for that video. Because that's going to be fun. That's going to be interesting and different.
Yeah. I like that. Okay. Well, you give me some things to think on. I'm going to create something.
Absolutely.
So it'll be on our social. It'll be on our TikTok channel. Yeah. So if you see this, go check it out and see how good or bad I did. I don't know.
I love doing things like that because I do get a lot of satisfaction on doing artistic things, which is why I was making the flask when you walked in.
I'll tell you what was exactly. I'll tell you what was super cool. It was like the day that I went with the race car people. Like we parked at a parking lot where the two cars were like parked at angles to each other. And one of the guys brought his skateboard out of the back of his trunk, and he was doing some like TikTok filming and stuff while he was riding his skateboard going across, and so it gave it like a smooth shot going across the bumper and the fender of the wheel, coming back to the whole car, and the lights were on and stuff. And so made it look amazing when it was done.
And that bumpiness of the skateboard actually probably looks really cool in video.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So need to figure out an angle for us to do that. So I need to go to TikTok school.
Well, you go to TikTok school, you go do TikTok a little bit, and then you host an Arkansas TikTok school because Arkansas is 10 years behind.
I'll tell you everything I know.
Exactly.
Exactly, right? That's what I'm thinking. It's like when he told me, like you said, Arkansas is always 10 years behind, and if people outside of the state are telling me, oh, Facebook's dead, and we only do Instagram and TikTok, I know eventually we're going to get there in Arkansas. So being ahead of the curve is talking to people outside of the state and seeing what everybody else is doing. Yeah.
For sure.
So, yeah, there's that.
There's that.
All right. Well, anything else you want to add this time?
Oh, no. We've covered all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, we did all kinds of stuff here today. So if you are watching this as a video, you can always catch us on any of the podcatching. Oh, God, I always mess this part up. I need like a script I need to read. Podcasting catchers.
Maybe that's what you need to do is add a teleprompter.
Yeah. Or just memorize my lines. I'm being an actor for about 5 seconds.
That would be something, too.
Yeah. Catch us on all your podcast catching platforms. We'll workshop that one. And also, if you're an audio listener, you can always catch us on YouTube. Look up the Healthy Business Podcast. We've got a new logo. We're getting new socials, and the Patreon. I'm still working on it, but it'll be up next week. So
excellent.
Yes. Patreon just updated their terms and conditions and all that stuff, and so I've had to adjust to all that. But yeah, for sure. Still looking for mugs from local companies that would like to have their
If you just want to be like an out-of-town company and you want you to come up here, it's fine too.
Yeah, that's
We're not
true. If
picky.
you want to send it full
Yeah,
of
just
cash,
send
that's
it.
also okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just pack the coffee mugs full of cash. And just
But
send
most importantly, like, share, comment,
like, share, comment.
subscribe.
Yeah, talk about it.
Talk about it.
Show some people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Show your support.
Yeah, even if you hate us, you know what I mean? Just tell us you hate us.
They always say, no press is bad press. Well,
Yeah.
some press is bad press, but we'll take the bad press right
Well,
now.
it's like the clickbait headlines that people put on there,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? It's like something that's really radical rather than the truth.
Mhm.
Or people will put content up that they know it's controversial to say or talk about just to get the views, so because they know it's going to piss you off so much, you want to get on there and say something about how bad they are.
Right.
But guess what? That helps the algorithm for them.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I don't want to say anything negative, or I don't want to piss anybody off.
No,
So
we went thumbs up.
we're trying to be nice. So be nice to us.
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Okay. Well, until next time, you want to say bye?
Bye.
And keep your business healthy.